Most people talk far more than they think. They fill silence because they fear it, not realizing that silence is where wisdom hides. The way a person speaks reveals everything about their discipline, their ego, and their control. Intelligent people understand this. They choose their words like a warrior chooses his weapons, rarely, precisely, and only when necessary. The Stoics believed that language is a mirror of the mind. If your words are careless, your thinking is weak. If your words are calm and measured, your mind is too. Marcus Aurelius warned, if it's not true or not kind or not necessary, don't say it, because every unnecessary word drains power. In this journey, we'll explore 7 things an intelligent person never says. Phrases that quietly destroy respect, weaken clarity, and reveal a lack of self-mastery. Learn to remove them, and your silence will start speaking louder than any speech ever could. 1. I already know that. The ego that blocks growth. What if I told you that the most dangerous sentence an intelligent person can say is, I already know that? It sounds harmless, even confident, but it's actually the quiet death of growth. The moment those words leave your mouth, your mind stops learning. You close the door that curiosity built, and you choose comfort over evolution. You've met people like this. The ones who interrupt halfway through a sentence, nod impatiently and say, yeah, I know. They crave the feeling of being right more than the experience of becoming wise. And yet, the wiser a person truly becomes, the more they realize how little they know. That's the paradox of intelligence. The deeper you think, the more mystery you find. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone shows you your fault, be glad. Why? Because to the Stoics, correction is not humiliation, it's refinement. A mind that resists correction is a mind addicted to illusion. Epictetus taught his students to treat every disagreement as a mirror. When someone challenges you, don't rush to defend yourself. Pause and look inward. Ask, is there truth here I've refused to see? In the modern world, the phrase, I already know that, has become a reflex of the ego. Social media made it worse. Everyone wants to appear informed, well-read, enlightened. But the Stoics would say, it's not about knowing quotes, it's about embodying them. You can memorize Marcus Aurelius and still live like a fool. Knowledge without humility is just arrogance in disguise. Think about your last conversation where you dismissed advice too quickly. Maybe someone younger gave you a suggestion and your mind whispered, I already know this. That's pride, not wisdom. A truly intelligent person listens fully because they know that repetition is not redundancy. It's reinforcement. Hearing the same truth again might strike you differently when you're ready for it. Seneca once said, no man learns what he thinks he already knows. It's brutal, but it's true. Every time you act like you're done learning, life stops teaching, you trap yourself inside your own certainty. But the Stoic path is built on the opposite, a lifelong apprenticeship to truth. A Stoic never graduates from growth. So how do you practice this? Start by replacing, I already know that, with, tell me more. Listen like a beginner, even when you're an expert. When someone speaks, don't search for flaws. Search for insight. Don't react to protect your pride. Respond to expand your mind. Every conversation can make you stronger if you approach it as a student instead of a judge. There's a story about Epictetus teaching a wealthy Roman who bragged about studying with the greatest philosophers. The man talked endlessly about what he'd read, who he'd met, how wise he had become. Epictetus listened quietly, then said, You've studied philosophy for years, but has philosophy yet studied you? The man had no answer. Because knowing words is easy, but living them is rare. Intelligent people are not those who know everything. They are the ones who stay teachable. They treat life as a constant seminar. They understand that wisdom doesn't scream, it listens. When you live this way, even silence becomes your teacher. Every time your ego whispers, "I already know that," answer it with curiosity. Read the same book again, ask a deeper question, watch how the same truth grows with you. Knowledge is not a trophy to display. It's a fire to tend. So the next time you feel the urge to prove how much you know, stop, take a breath. Remember Marcus's words. Be glad when someone shows you your fault. That's not criticism. That's your next lesson arriving. Because the wisest people aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who never stop learning. Ego ends where learning begins. 2. That's not my fault. The power of responsibility. Few phrases expose weakness faster than the words, "That's not my fault." They sound defensive, but what they really reveal is fear. Fear of being accountable, fear of losing control. Every time you shift blame outward, you surrender your inner power. You give the world permission to dictate how you feel and who you become. The Stoics saw responsibility not as a burden, but as liberation. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Most people hear this and nod, then spend the rest of their lives doing the opposite. They blame the economy, their boss, their parents, their past. They say, "I'd be calm if people treated me better," or "I'd be happy if life were fair." But the Stoic knows that "if" is the trap. It chains your peace to conditions you can't control. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One curses every driver around him, pounding the wheel as if rage could move the cars. The other turns down the noise, breathes and practices patience. The event is identical, but the experience is not, because one man chose to own his reaction. The Stoics would say, he owns himself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That is the core of freedom. The more you blame, the less you control. The more you own, the freer you become. Responsibility isn't about guilt, it's about power. When you say, "It's my response that defines me," you take the steering wheel of your life back into your hands. Think about how blame has shaped your habits. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," your mind quietly records a message. "I am powerless." Repeat that message long enough, and you start living like it's true. You stop trying, stop improving, stop believing that change is possible. Responsibility rewires that message. It tells your brain, "I am capable." Seneca taught that life is like a ship. Storms will come, but the captain still chooses how to steer. He wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Blame focuses on the storm, responsibility focuses on the rudder. Intelligent people don't waste time shouting at the wind. They study its direction and adjust the sails. In modern terms, responsibility means radical ownership, not of outcomes, but of attitude. You can't always control success, but you can always control effort. You can't dictate someone else's words, but you can master your own reaction. That's where peace begins. Here's a Stoic practice you can try today. Every time something frustrates you, pause and ask, "What part of this is within my control?" Write the answer down, then act only on that. You'll notice how much calmer you feel, because clarity replaces chaos. Blame feels good in the moment, but it drains you in the long run. It's emotional junk food, comforting, yet destructive. Responsibility, on the other hand, is pure discipline. It's hard at first, but it feeds strength. Every time you choose it, you grow a little more unshakable. So the next time you're tempted to say, "That's not my fault," stop and reframe it. It's my challenge, my lesson, my chance to respond differently. That's the voice of intelligence, the voice of ownership. Remember, life doesn't owe you perfect circumstances. It offers you endless opportunities to master yourself. Because responsibility isn't the end of freedom. It's where real freedom begins. 3. It's not fair. The trap of fairness. Few illusions cripple the modern mind more than the obsession with fairness. From childhood, we're taught to cry out when something feels unjust, as if the universe owes us balance. But the truth is harder, colder, and far more liberating. Life was never meant to be fair, and the Stoics knew that. When you say, "It's not fair," you don't correct injustice. You feed resentment. You spend your energy fighting an ideal world while ignoring the real one. Seneca warned about this over 2,000 years ago when he wrote, "The wise man doesn't complain of the wind, he adjusts the sails." Those words are a map to peace. Because complaining about fairness is like shouting at the storm. The weather doesn't care. Think about how often that phrase appears in your mind. Someone else gets promoted. A friend finds love while you're still alone. You work hard and still get overlooked. The reflex comes instantly. It's not fair. But that thought doesn't change anything. It only weakens you. Every time you repeat it, you affirm that your happiness depends on circumstances. You hand the keys of your peace to randomness. The Stoics would tell you, fairness is not your business. Virtue is. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, and loss. Yet he wrote, "What happens to each of us is ordained for our good." He didn't mean that every event is pleasant or deserved. He meant that every event can be used. To a Stoic, fairness isn't the absence of hardship. It's the mastery of response. When you focus on fairness, you compare. When you focus on discipline, you progress. Intelligent people know this shift well. Envy drains, but effort builds. They turn disappointment into data. Instead of saying, "It's not fair that he's ahead," they ask, "What can I learn from his path?" Fairness is emotional gravity pulling you downward. It turns the world into a scoreboard where everyone loses. Stoicism breaks that gravity by redefining the game. Your only competition is yourself. The question is not, "Did I get what I deserved?" It's, "Did I act with integrity, regardless of the outcome?" In today's culture, fairness is weaponized to justify envy. People waste hours online complaining about how life favors others. But complaining doesn't create strength. It builds dependence. The Stoic doesn't chase fairness. He creates alignment. He knows that the world may never balance the scales, but he can balance himself. Here's a modern Stoic practice. When something feels unfair, write down 2 columns. In the first, what you can't control, other people's decisions, luck, timing. In the second, what you can control, your reaction, your effort, your standards. Then burn the first column in your mind. Let it go. The second is your arena. Seneca said, "A good character, once established, is not upset by injustice." That's the freedom of a Stoic. No one can cheat you of your virtue. The promotion you didn't get can't take your discipline. The love you lost can't steal your dignity. The fairness you expected can't define your peace unless you let it. So the next time the words "it's not fair" reach your lips, stop them. Replace them with "it's my turn to adapt." Because life isn't fair, it's revealing. It shows you whether your strength depends on circumstances or comes from within. The world doesn't owe you balance. It owes you nothing, but you owe yourself mastery. Fairness is a story. Discipline is real. For "I can't do this." The limits you build yourself. Few phrases are as poisonous to the human spirit as the words "I can't." They sound honest, but they're rarely true. They're not a reflection of reality, they're a reflection of fear. And fear, when repeated often enough, becomes identity. Every time you say, "I can't do this," you give your mind permission to quit before you even begin. The Stoics saw limitation as an illusion of perception. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To the Stoic, weakness isn't born from hardship, it's born from avoidance. You're not defeated by what you face, but by what you refuse to face. Modern society makes it easy to surrender. Everything around us whispers convenience, shortcuts, comfort, escape. So when something challenges us, our first instinct is to retreat. We say, "I can't," instead of, "I haven't trained for this yet." But those two sentences lead to two entirely different lives. "I can't" is final. It closes the door. "I'm training to" opens it. It shifts your mind from failure to growth. Epictetus taught his students that life itself is a gymnasium for the soul. Every hardship is a workout for virtue. When you face fear, you strengthen courage. When you face rejection, you strengthen humility. When you face pain, you strengthen endurance. The only people who never grow stronger are those who keep skipping practice. Think about your most difficult moments. The times you thought you couldn't go on, but somehow you did. Those experiences didn't just test you, they introduced you to yourself. They showed you what you're capable of when comfort is no longer an option. The Stoics would call that the beginning of inner freedom. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Yet today, most people try to avoid all difficulty, then wonder why their spirit feels fragile. If you never lift the weight of struggle, how can you expect to build resilience? The phrase "I can't" is just mental laziness disguised as humility. It's a way of saying, "I don't want to endure the discomfort required to grow." Intelligent people know better. They understand that emotion is temporary, but discipline is permanent. They don't argue with fear. They train through it. They use micro-challenges to build their mental armor. Cold showers, difficult conversations, waking early, saying no when it's easier to please. Each small victory tells the mind, "See, you can." Here's a Stoic exercise to practice. When you hear yourself say, "I can't," pause and reframe it to, "I'm learning how." The first kills your effort. The second fuels it. Over time, this simple shift rewires your brain's language of possibility. You start acting before overthinking, trusting that ability is built through repetition. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayal, and plague. Yet in his private journal, he wrote not about despair, but about duty. He reminded himself, if it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. That's Stoic realism. You don't have to feel strong to act strong. Strength is the result of action, not its requirement. So the next time your mind whispers, "I can't do this," listen closer. That voice isn't truth. It's hesitation. It's the echo of past comfort begging to survive. Smile at it, then move anyway. Because intelligence isn't measured by what you know. It's measured by what you face without running. Weak words create weak minds. Replace "I can't" with "I'm training to," and your limits will start to move. 5. That's just how I am. The myth of a fixed self. Of all the lies people tell themselves, this might be the most comforting one. That's just how I am. It sounds harmless, even self-accepting, but beneath it hides surrender. It's the declaration of someone who has mistaken their habits for their identity. The Stoics would call it what it is, a refusal to grow. When you say, "That's just how I am," you freeze yourself in time. You turn your current limits into lifelong labels. "I'm not patient. I'm bad with money. I've always been this way." But none of these statements are true. They're simply excuses disguised as personality. Stoicism teaches that character is not inherited, it's built, and every day you live is a construction site. Epictetus said, "You become what you repeatedly do. Not what you claim, not what you intend, what you practice." Every action, every reaction, every word is a brick in the house of your identity. The tragedy is that most people keep rebuilding the same broken structure because they fear the effort of starting again. Modern culture romanticizes authenticity, but authenticity without awareness becomes a trap. People defend their flaws as if they were virtues. "I'm just direct" becomes an excuse for cruelty. "I'm just emotional" becomes permission to lose control. The Stoics drew a clear line between accepting your nature and indulging your weakness. Acceptance is seeing yourself clearly. Indulgence is refusing to improve. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, could have justified every outburst, every ego-driven impulse with his power. Yet he wrote daily reminders to himself like a student, not a king. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's the Stoic difference. They didn't talk about who they were. They acted into who they wanted to become. Think of your identity as clay, not stone. Clay bends under pressure. Stone shatters. When you say, "That's just how I am," you choose stone, hard, rigid, and fragile. But when you treat yourself as clay, you stay adaptable, humble, and alive. Every difficulty, every relationship, every mistake becomes a hand that shapes you, if you let it. Here's a Stoic practice. Identify one trait that's been holding you back. Maybe impatience, procrastination, or fear of confrontation. For the next week, act contrary to it once a day. Speak calmly when you want to snap. Start a task when you'd normally delay. Each small defiance of your old self proves that change isn't impossible. It's uncomfortable. And discomfort, as Seneca said, is the forge of character. The truth is, "That's just how I am" is never the end of a sentence. It's the start of a question. Do I want to stay that way? Because the person you were 5 years ago is already gone, replaced by the sum of your repeated choices. Intelligent people understand that self-awareness isn't an excuse for stagnation. It's the starting point of transformation. They accept their flaws without surrendering to them. They know that peace doesn't come from staying the same, but from evolving intentionally. So the next time you're tempted to shrug and say, "That's just how I am," stop. Replace it with, "That's who I've been, but it's not who I have to remain." That's the language of growth. That's how a Stoic speaks. Because you are not fixed, you are forged. And every day gives you fire enough to shape yourself again. You're not finished, you're under construction. 6. It's impossible. From defeat to discipline. Every time someone says it's impossible, what they really mean is, it's uncomfortable. The difference is subtle but life-changing. One admits challenge, the other declares surrender. And surrender, not failure, is what kills potential. The Stoics never used the word impossible. To them, it wasn't a fact. It was a failure of imagination. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." That's not poetry, that's physiology. Your brain, like your muscles, grows only through resistance. But modern comfort has made resistance feel unnatural. The moment we meet friction, we interpret it as a sign to stop. We say, "It's too hard," instead of, "I'm being trained." Yet the Stoic knows every hardship is a hidden gem for the soul. History is full of people who turned impossible into routine. Admiral James Stockdale survived 7 years of torture as a prisoner of war by applying Stoic discipline, focusing only on what he could control, his mind. Viktor Frankl endured concentration camps by mastering meaning, not circumstances. Both men proved a timeless law. You can't always choose your suffering, but you can always choose its purpose. When you say it's impossible, your mind stops looking for strategy. But when you say, "I haven't learned how," yet your brain re-engages. That one word, yet keeps the door open for growth. It's the difference between a fixed identity and an evolving one. The Stoics lived in that space of disciplined hope, not naive optimism, but a refusal to let difficulty define them. Marcus Aurelius faced constant wars, plagues, and betrayal. Yet in his private journal, he never wrote, "This is impossible." He wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." He saw struggle as proof of life, not evidence of failure. To the Stoic, every obstacle contains a command. Strengthen here. In modern life, impossible hides in small moments. When you avoid a difficult conversation, when you scroll instead of start, when you label your dream as unrealistic before testing it. You might not say the word aloud, but you live it quietly. Stoicism teaches you to expose those silent impossibles and replace them with disciplined experiments. Action dismantles fear. Here's a practice. When you catch yourself thinking, "This can't be done," write down 3 micro actions that could make it slightly more possible. Not perfect, just possible. Discipline grows from movement, not motivation. And each small proof will start changing your identity from someone who doubts into someone who builds. Seneca reminded us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The task you call impossible is usually just uncomfortable in your head. The pain you fear rarely matches the power you gain by facing it. Intelligent people train their minds to reinterpret struggle as signal, the universe saying, "You're being shaped." So the next time your mind whispers, "It's impossible," smile. Because that's how every breakthrough begins, with doubt disguised as challenge. Replace those words with, "Let me see what's possible if I stay consistent." That's not denial. That's discipline. That's Stoicism in motion, because impossible isn't a truth. It's a moment, and moments pass. If you do the work, impossible is just untrained. Train long enough, and the impossible becomes your new normal. Evan, I don't care. True detachment versus emotional numbness. When people say "I don't care," they think they're showing strength, but often it's just emotional armor, a shield worn by those too tired or too hurt to feel. Indifference masquerades as control, but it's really avoidance in disguise. The Stoics didn't teach people to stop caring. They taught them to care correctly. Marcus Aurelius cared deeply about justice, duty, compassion, yet he mastered detachment from what he couldn't control. That's the key difference. Stoic detachment isn't numbness, it's clarity. It means you give your full heart to what matters without letting outcomes own you. When you say, "I don't care," you shrink your world. But when you say, "I care about what I can influence," you expand your power. In our modern world, apathy is confused with maturity. People wear coldness like a crown. "I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm done with feelings." But that's not strength. It's exhaustion. The Stoics would call it self-abandonment, the loss of purpose beneath the illusion of peace. Because when nothing matters, nothing improves. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." That's real control. Not emotional shutdown, but strategic focus. You're still engaged, still human, but you've drawn boundaries around your energy. Intelligent people do this naturally. They choose where their concern lives. They refuse to let every opinion, every headline, every slight hijack their peace. Imagine 2 reactions to betrayal. One person hardens, saying, "I don't care anymore." Another pauses, breathes, and says, "I still care, but not in a way that destroys me." The first chooses numbness. The second chooses awareness. Stoicism lives in that second path, where compassion and calm coexist. Seneca wrote, "A wise man is not unfeeling, but he overcomes his feelings. He didn't tell us to bury emotion, but to master it, to feel deeply without being drowned. That's what modern culture misunderstands. Real power isn't in pretending you don't care. It's in caring wisely, with boundaries strong enough to protect your peace. Here's a Stoic practice. Make 2 lists, one titled, "What Truly Matters," the other, "What Drains Me." Be honest. Under the first, write the names of people, goals, and values that deserve your energy. Under the second, include gossip, resentment, fear, and digital noise. Then, every morning, look at both lists and decide consciously where your attention will go. That's emotional minimalism, and it's one of the highest Stoic disciplines. The truth is, indifference might feel safe, but it costs you meaning. Detachment, however, gives you clarity. The first kills connection, the second purifies it. Intelligent people don't run from feelings. They refine them. They stay calm not because they're empty, but because they're full of purpose. So the next time your mind whispers, "I don't care," stop and translate it into something truer. "I care too much to waste energy on what doesn't matter." That's Stoic strength, measured, mature, and deeply alive. Because numbness isn't peace. Peace is choosing where your heart lives. Detachment isn't apathy, it's wisdom. Silence is wisdom made visible. You've just seen 7 things an intelligent person never says. 7 small sentences that quietly sabotage strength. They seem harmless. I already know that. That's not my fault. It's not fair. I can't do this. That's just how I am. It's impossible. I don't care. But together, they build a prison, one made of ego, excuses, and avoidance. The Stoics broke that prison through awareness. They turned every weakness into a mirror. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself daily, not to impress others, but to train his mind into alignment. Seneca faced hardship not with bitterness, but with preparation. Epictetus lost everything yet called himself free because no one could touch his mind. They all understood one truth. The words you choose create the world you live in. Every careless phrase weakens your discipline. Every silent pause sharpens it. Intelligent people guard their language because they know. Speech shapes thought, and thought shapes destiny. To master your words is to master your life. So, as you walk away from this, remember, the strongest minds don't speak to be heard. They speak to build. They don't react. They respond. They don't fill silence. They refine it. Start today. Drop one weak sentence from your vocabulary. Replace it with awareness, humility, and restraint. Because every time you remove noise, you make room for strength. Comment below. Which of these 7 phrases will you remove from your life first? And remember, silence isn't emptiness. It's focus. It's wisdom. It's power. I speak less. I think deeper. I grow wiser.